Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Come in, come in, come in. This is Tamika's Den. I am Tamika. Get on in here, y'all. Get on in here. Kick off your shoes and relax your feet. We are now in the Den, baby. So, yeah, this is my review recap for Angel of Death, Godfather of Harlem, child. We are talking about season 3, episode 5. Yes, we are back in the building. It is back on and popping, okay? We got Bumpy and Columbo basically having a face-off for control of the heroin, child. You know, Marcel 98 is back in the building, of course. He brings in a new shipment. Omar's over here trying to freaking, appeal to daggone, Elise, all right, as they come back, her and, Malcolm from Mecca. And we got, Nat out here falling for somebody, having a love affair, okay, and discovering cocaine at the same time. Of course, Malcolm is getting these daggone death threats, child. We worried, but we know what's going to go down. And, Stella is over it, child. At this point, Stella might as well have just went ahead and took daggone Columbo to the FBI, because Columbo is not letting up off of daggone Bumpy's neck, okay? He got his foot on his neck. He ain't letting up not one bit. He is giving him for a run for his money. Bumpy over here having nightmares. It's a hot damn mess, baby. But is it just a dream or is it reality? Let's go ahead and get into this episode, y'all. Take it from the top. So, of course, we start out with Bumpy having this dream, right? And you could tell it was a dream already, because Mamie coming, she got this glow. She waking him up. She like, it's breakfast in bed. Come on down. It's time to chow. She's sitting over here while he looks at the paper and sees Angel of Death is, basically in Harlem. And he also sees something about a rival gang or whatever the case may be, and he's seeing his picture on the paper. So she's over here talking about, oh yeah, I already read it, and she's basically saying, but you getting that new shipment in today, right? And he's like, yeah. She's like, okay, go to work, have a good day. I gotta go ahead and see that artist that I've been telling you about. And so, he goes in and he's like, is he here, with the smile on his face? Because if anything, Mamie was looking all excited to start the day, and Bumpy was looking a little out of it and confused. But he does look like, hey, okay, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, my shipment is coming in. I'm taking over things. Things is good. So he goes in and he's like, is he here? And Marcel 98 steps out. Oh, Bumpy, sorry for the delay. Giving him a hug. And you know what I'm saying? We got to get it on and popping. There's a big old shipment here that is just for you. And so Bumpy was like, well, we got to try it out. Okay, come on and bring in the veins. And they bring in homeboy, who was basically like, thank you, Bumpy, all right? Damn, the streets been dry, okay? I need my ha. And when he get in there, I said, wait a minute, is this the same one that played the crackhead in Raising Canaan, child? Let me find out. He always get the drug addict roles, but hey, he played them well, all right? I ain't mad. Shout out to him. Let me know in the comments if I'm right. But, he come in and he ready and he like, come on, man, I've been, fiending for this. And one minute he talking about it's good, and the next minute he dropping dead, right? And they saying he's dead. And Marcel said, he was like, yo, I told you it was the best. How Bumpy said, but he dead. And he was like, well, we all gonna be dead one time or another, right? We all gotta die. And so the next thing you know, the guy basically sits up and was like, who do you think it was, or whatever the case may be, right? And Bumpy is just looking at him. So, of course, he jumps up from the nightmare, and now we are awake. But, you know what I'm saying? Is it really like, it was this foreshadowing from Mr. Bumpy on the things to come, y'all? So, child, yes, this is it. We are here, okay? Open up my window again. Open up my window again. I can hear you calling my name. I can hear death calling my name. I know a damn thing ain't gonna change. Okay, listen. I'm making up my own words, y'all. But y'all get the point. Break is over. We back in business. So, we go from there to just basically having Bumpy trying to figure out what the heck is up. Right now he up, now he ready to get to business and see what's going down and what's going on. And he's already frustrated. He just want to know that all his stuff is gonna be straight now, you know what I'm saying? And he's gonna be able to get this shipment in with no problem. And so now he's sitting at the table with Mamie and they talking or whatever. And, she tells him to look in the back of the newspaper. So he's like, oh, okay. And he turns around to the back of it and seeing this paper, right? with this artist that she's telling him about. And he's saying that, she's saying he's great. He's bringing back the Harlem Renaissance. He used to be on drugs, but he kicked his habit. He's been clean for 2 years. She's going to see him today, and she's commissioned him to do this drawing of him. So he's like, oh, that's great, right? But that's the last thing that's on Daggone Bumpy mind. And then, of course, he starts to think about the dream that he had, right? Because she did mention the painting in the dream. So we see on, like, the news that Malcolm X did the Pan-African, summit and all that kind of stuff. And he's basically, coming home, and that his message has reached all these different places. And we see them pulling up in front of his house. And, of course, we still got the guards on the inside and the outside. And when he come in, Betty is all happy to see him or whatever. Like, yeah, y'all back. It feels like it's been ages. He says he couldn't wait another minute and all that. She's telling Elise, welcome home, and saying, oh, you look good, and I want to hear all about your trip or whatever. So Malcolm asked where the children is, and she was like, I sent them to your sisters. And he's like, well, why? And she was like, he said it's been that bad. And she says it's fine, but basically the phone been ringing off the hook day and night, death threats, and so she was like, that's why I sent them away. And he's telling her, to get them back. He go ahead and answer the call, and of course he is getting a call that is saying that you are dead. Okay, you are dead man walking. And basically he hangs up the phone, and he's telling her to get the girls back, call Ella and send the girls back immediately. And so she's like, you sure about that? And he's basically like, yeah. And she was like, he tells her, we had threats before, and Bumpy got his men here to protect us. We'll be fine. I just want the children here with us. And so she's like, well, we'll discuss this more later, okay? But she tells Mamie, you better go ahead and get home. Let's get you. I'm sorry, not Mamie. She tells Elise, let's get you home. She was like, you must be exhausted after this long trip. And Elise basically was like, yeah, I am quite tired, okay? So now, we see Mr. Nat up here, getting his little dance on, all right? He's doing a little salsa over here, getting his little dance on, and homegirl, letting him know that there's some new stuff on the street that is on and popping. And so, first they dancing, then they going over by the bar, getting a drink, whatever have you, and, she gives him what we know is cocaine or whatever, and he's basically saying that, well, I don't feel nothing. And she like, give it a minute. And I guess, it kicks in, and he like, whoa. And then a light bulb, goes off in his head about it, right? But in the meantime, he's trying to work with that other hand and see what's going on, with Miss Thing, because he is liking what he's seeing and he's enjoying, this time that he is having with her, right? And so, he finds out that her name is Marina, and that she, her father named her, and he was a fisherman and all of this kind of stuff. And then he basically tells her that his name is Nathaniel. And so, we getting a little love connection going on here, right? And he was telling her he never knew her father, knew his father or whatever, right? And so they do a little salute, okay, and have a little drinky drink, and she was like, let me know whenever you ready to dance with me again. And they laughing, and it's all to the good. But when he went and took this little coquino, I was a little worried, because I'm like, are we just going to be thinking about telling Bumpy about it in terms of selling it, or are we about to have a whole new addiction going on with that? Because we know that we have had some little problems with him in the past, and Bumpy still gave him another chance. And Bumpy would not be wanting them to use drugs. So I just got my eye on you, Nat. I hope you're not going to go down the wrong road. Now, in the meantime, Elise get home, and Mamie is like, Elise, you're home. Oh, God, of course we missed you, and I want to hear about all your, your trip and all of that. And she's saying, can we talk about, it tonight? And then Elise asks, where's Daddy? And she was like, the usual, okay, but he will be excited to see that you were home. And she was saying how she sent, Margaret like daggone 20 postcards, and she wondered if she got any of them. And she was like, of course she got them. That's all she been talking about and stuff like that, right? And she was like, speaking of letters, you done got some too. You must have a secret admirer. It looks like it's the same pen. And so, child, when she opened it up, who is it but Omar? Okay, so she ain't too happy about that, because, of course, she still don't trust him after everything that went down with Malcolm. That smile turned into a frown real quick. Now, we get to daggone Columbo, and he's coming in with this freaking gift for, Stella, we looking like everything is good. She telling him Mr. Russo called and canceled your appointment that he had with you, talking about he got a gallbladder situation going on. And he's like, bullshit. She was like, what? He owe you money? He says, you're a fast learner. So he like, I got you a little something. I wanted to say thank you for you cooking me the dinner and all of that. And basically is a chain of the Eiffel Tower. Child Colombo, she don't want no damn chain, okay? She want to go there and see it in person. So, of course, she starts to bring it up again. He over here talking about it belonged to my grandmother. She loved Paris just like you. And they basically, when she was there on her honeymoon, his grandfather had got it for her. And there's an 18-karat diamonds and all this stuff. And he might be a bastard, but he wasn't a cheap bastard. And she was like, man, I can't accept this. I can't take this from you. And he's like, sure, you can. It's a family, she's like, it's a family heirloom. Give that to a woman that's special for you. And so he's over here laughing. And, basically, Stella, I guess he's trying to tell you, you special. But she was like, if you really want to thank me and you want to do me a favor, of course, what you can do is let me go to the real Eiffel Tower. He over here talking about on your own. And she was like, yeah, the other families, should be good now. They're not going to touch me. And he was like, we don't know that for sure. And he's not willing to take the risk. But she was saying she was willing to take the risk, that she just wants her freedom. And so he's like, you're not happy here. And basically she was like, you've been kind, but I'm begging you, right? I feel like I'm in a damn cage and I'm over it. So basically he was like, he'll look into it, right? Wait on that. Now, in the meantime, she was like, thank you, or whatever the case may be. And now we really do have Monsieur here, and we have old boy in the chair ready to go ahead and see, what's going on with this. And they give him the hookup, and it looks like everything is good on that end. But Monsieur, of course, is saying, listen, I'm still going to need you to put up the money up front. I'm going to need to know that there's not going to be no problems. We got the police, Bumpy was even telling them to give the guy a few bags to take with him and was saying, God bless you. He got the smile on his face because he feeling like everything is going to go on right. He's telling him, let's go ahead and talk. And so as they're talking, of course, this is when Monsieur is saying, like, how much do you want? He says, well, Bumpy told him same as last, like 3,000. And he said he want to buy it all. They could come to him. And so he says, well, you're going to have all the money up front. I'm sorry. And so Bumpy was like, man, that's not a problem. I got a rich partner, okay? And I got the police captain in my pocket. So now what's going to be the touch? The problem. We'll be in touch. So Monsieur 98 told him, yeah. So they was like, with dope like that, we'll be kings or whatever the case may be. We gonna be running this city, right? And so Bumpy told him, go ahead and get homeboy out of here. Come on, wake him up. And he's talking about some, God bless you, Bumpy. God bless you, because he happy that he got his damn high now. Now, in the meantime, Mamie go ahead to see this artist, right? He got different paintings everywhere. And she just telling him how much she like him, how great his work is, how far he's came from, when he was addicted. And homeboy is already telling her, like, yeah, when I was on that heroin, I would see so many different things. I would be able to paint so much different stuff. And then for a while, I really couldn't. He was like, he just would paint on pieces of paper, the sidewalk, anywhere that he could find. And he was like, he always was finding anything. He said, shoot, sometimes I would even use my own blood or dirt. It didn't matter what it was. And I would make something. And she's just like, wow. So she was like, that's when you discovered your love for painting. And he was like, I use my imagination to survive. And so, of course, he said when he was high, he would see these beautiful colors and different things in his head or whatever and wanted to capture it. And she was like, but then you kicked the heroin. And he was like, yes, I did. He was like, the images went away and I stopped painting for a while. But then something amazing happened. And I basically, wanted to start this really painting life the way I was seeing it and the way that it really was. And so she was like, wow, I see what you've been doing or whatever the case may be. And she brings up to him about, bringing back the Harlem Renaissance. And he was like, well, the Harlem Renaissance is gone. And she was saying, it's so breathtaking, his images and stuff like that. And he was like, thank you. So she says, well, yeah, it may be gone, but there's always, a future, like a new beginning and a new start or whatever the case may be. And he was saying he's just happy to be alive. So she was like, yeah, I get it. So then they looking at the painting that he's, has drawn for Bumpy, and he still got it covered, and he's saying it's still not finished yet, because she was like, he's going to be so excited, and saying how proud they're going to be able to, have their, his painting hanging up in their living room. And he was like, I hope you and Bumpy will be proud of it. And as soon as they were showing this part, because he told her, it's ironic, I used to actually buy heroin from him, and now I'm painting, a picture that could go up on his wall. So she says, well, me and my husband are so proud of you, or whatever the case may be. And she was like, we would do anything to honor and support you and all this stuff, and have you working in my home. But child, all I kept thinking the whole time that they looking at this painting that's still covered is, this painting ain't going to be what they think it's going to be, okay? It is not going to just be a picture of Bumpy that could go up on their living room wall, child. So, here it is. Bumpy goes and sees the captain, and he's telling him about the shipment that's coming in. Captain's still not over damn Bumpy. He's saying, you got a lot of damn nerve. Bumpy telling him it's an easy assignment. All you got to do is keep everybody back. And so the captain is like, so you could just flood the damn city with narcotics, or whatever the case may be. And Bumpy talking about heroin is a fact of life. Captain, whether I bring it in or not, it's still going to be the same result. You wouldn't be stopping nothing. And so, of course, we still going to have this debate and back and forth about, who's right, who's wrong, who's doing things, who's better, him or the damn Italians, and all of that. And, the captain is basically saying that's not his problem, that these drugs are crippling the damn city. So he was like, he cannot be a part of a damn, cycle that's just keeping on creating more and more of these things happening. He was like, you take no responsibility, because Bumpy's saying that a junkie has a choice. And he talking about how he send kids to school and educate them. And I said, yeah, Bumpy, you do that, but you doing that does not change the fact that you are still contributing to people having drugs out here, right? He said, no, the captain told him, so you think your good deeds wipe out all the rest of the stuff that you're doing, right? And Bumpy, of course, is just still comparing it with the Italians and saying, well, you was taking the money from them and it's okay with them. And he's telling the captain, maybe you need to look in the mirror. And I say, yeah, maybe he do, but you do too, Bumpy, right? And so we just was seeing like a lot of metaphors inside of this daggone episode for sure. Now he gets up and he's telling him, you going to do what I say. And that's that on that. And so he goes off and he leaves, and the captain was telling him this was going to be the last time. Now, in the meantime, you got Nat and Chance riding in the car, whatever the case may be. And he's telling him like, yo, I never felt better in my life. He was like, we danced and danced for like 2 or 3 hours. It was on and popping. I took her back to my place. He's like, and he's like, what do you mean? And he was like, shoot, and it was on and popping, and then some, okay? So he's basically, but like, yeah, seriously though, the point is that, the cocaine picked him up, or whatever the case may be, even though he was dead tired. And he tells him, Bumpy don't like you, like nobody doing drugs. And he was like, come on, man. He was like, just in case we got to find something else to sell, I could go and tell Bumpy about this. But he was telling him, like, that's only for rich folks. Only rich folks can afford shit like that. Where's going to be the market for it? You see any rich crackers walking around here? So he was like, man, you just mad because it's my idea and you not the one that came up with it, and you can't go and tell Bumpy about it. And he was like, yo, you better do your damn due diligence. You know how Bumpy is. If you come to him and tell him about something like this, and you can't show where it's going to be a steady supply and where, how much it's going to come up with, then it ain't gonna be nothing to talk about. So he said, well, I will do, my due diligence. Don't worry about that. And then, he was giving him the side eye, and I'm giving him the side eye too, because I just hope you're not going down a rabbit hole net. Now, in the meantime, Omar does meet up with Elise. She agreed to meet with him and just was trying to really give him his letters back. Still wasn't feeling him. Still didn't really believe that he genuinely wanted to join Malcolm's, helping him out after he just was ready to damn kill him. He's still saying that he really is sorry, and, he do want to help and all of this. And of course, he's still trying to tell her that he have feelings for her too. And she's just like, I can't. At one point she was like, no, I really wanted my father's men to kill you. And he's like, I'm glad you didn't, because then my brother would have basically ended up getting my house. And she has started laughing, and she's like, no, you don't get to make me laugh. So obviously she still has feelings there too. And she feels a little guilty about the feelings that she has. So she was like, well, I don't know if I really could believe that you really in this. And he, of course, he's saying that, words can be anything, but it's actually seeing the action that he could put behind it that will let her know that he is telling the truth. And when she was trying to give him back the letters, he just was like, keep them, and basically walked away. So she's still kind of struggling with that. Now, in the meantime, we got Monsieur 98, Battle and Bumpy meeting up and looking over this map, showing how, we're strong. We got everything covered. We got all we need. We got the men that's supposed to negotiate. You know what I'm saying? The river's not a problem. They can handle 3,000 kilos and all this. They got guns that's been transported, human beings that's been transported, and it ain't been no problem. So it sure as hell shouldn't be no problem for the damn, heroin. They got the captain. So, what I'm saying, it's just a matter of let's making this happen and calling it, a day. This plan is safe and it will work. And Monsieur is like, okay, this is all good, but my bosses still insist on meeting with the Italians and talking to them and hearing what they have to say. And so he was like, the Italians would never pay you money up front. You got the best deal with me. Like, that, right? And Monsieur is like, yeah, that may be right, but I still have to go and see what they saying out of respect or whatever the case may be, right? And so they was like, but who controls Harlem, you know what I'm saying, is who you roll with. And at the end of the day, that's us. So they said, whatever Columbo say, we'll do better. Like, this shouldn't even be a debate or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Bumpy is telling him, me. I paid up front the last time and I'll pay again. And so again, he's saying, agreed, and I respect your offer, but I must hear him out. I said, I don't know why y'all even going to hear them out. He's talking about it's just business. I said, okay, if you say so, because you already know, what I'm saying, Columbo played dirty. So, of course, when he goes to see him, all Columbo doing is, you know what I'm saying, we give y'all half and we do the rest of the business. You've been dealing with us for decades. He was like, we never pay more than half. And he said, well, Bumpy's about to change all that, because Bumpy is saying he got all the money and he could pay up front. He got the captain here, freaking Columbo laughing and all that. And he was like, well, you tell Bumpy if he sells to John, tell your bosses rather, if they sell to Bumpy Johnson, then they're going to have a problem with me. And so Monsieur's like, no, I'm sorry. He said, not only with me, but with all 5, families. And so Monsieur was like, listen, the men I work for are businessmen, plain and simple. Whoever's coming with the money, you know what I'm saying, we don't get involved in such things or whatever. And so Columbo was like, well, I think you're pretty involved. And he says, well, work it out with Bumpy Johnson, not me. So he was like, you do realize that this is a sign of disrespect. And you know what I'm saying, Monsieur's like, his damn offer is better. He was like, if you could be his offer, then there's no problem. Again, Columbo left, and he was like, what do you want me to do, bend over so you could make me take it up the ass? Like, what's going on here? He was like, well, what would you do in my place? And Columbo's like, listen to reason. And he was like, well, there's a man you used to work for, Jean. He was like, you remember him? And he was like, Bumpy Johnson put a bullet in his head. This what Columbo told Monsieur. So he was like, how can you trust him? And you know what I'm saying? And Monsieur was like, I trust Bumpy Johnson because he ain't never give me reason not to. Okay. So he was like, well, what can I do to make you trust me? Easy. Put up the damn money. Pay the money. Offer me more than what Bumpy is offering me and give me a better offer and we could go. Okay. And so Columbo talking about, that's what you'll get. So he says, okay. And he sits back in the chair. I said, child, you can't reason and have a damn conversation with Columbo at this point. Now, in the meantime, Elise sits down with Betty and talks with her for a minute, shows her these letters that Omar has written and tells her about what he was saying. And she was like, do you still have feelings for him? And she talking about some, no, not at all. And she said, listen, sometimes the heart can be irrational. She's like, no, I don't have feelings. Yes, you do, Elise. Okay. But she told her, like Betty was telling her, black men do have it rough. You know what I'm saying? They're often misguided. Sometimes we got to put them right in the, right perspective or whatever the case may be with extra special care. And she was like, well, you never had that problem with Malcolm. She said, girl, didn't I? Where you been at? She was like, baby, the way he courted me, you don't even know the half. It was ridiculous. Okay. He was awkward. He was standoffish. He asked me to daggone marry him over the phone, girl. She was like, no, yes, he did. Okay. But granted, even with all of that, of course, they still made it work it out, whatever. So she was like, Elise says, yeah, but Omar, that's unforgivable. She was like, well, you know what I'm saying? That's for you to go ahead and figure out or whatever, right? And, at the end of the day, he only did that because of the lies he was told about Malcolm or whatever, right? And so he fell into a trap. And she was like, if he might have came to his senses or whatever, right? People can change, and so really you can only see whether he's telling you the truth now or not. And she was saying that he lost, her trust, and she was like, well, can he get it back? She was like, how? With words? She said, no, with deeds. See what the action is behind it. So we got Nat going back over to Miss Marina. Okay, now he on one hand looking like he enjoying her company and saying yesterday was amazing and trying to get a little bit more info out of her, but then he's going really, really hard to find out who's this person that had that cocaine. Okay, where can I get more of that? Because I really like that. Now, at first, she like, what are you talking about? And she's saying, no, that's not possible. It just so happened to be here, that day. Even before that, she was trying to say she don't remember when she was saying that, when he says, did it fall in your lap? She was like, yeah, something like that, right? So she was like, why don't you tell me more about your extermination company? And he was like, come on, why you acting all jinky and shit? Why you don't just tell me where you got the coke from? So I said, wait a minute, Nat, you know what I'm saying? Do you want to tell Bumpy about this to sell it, or do you want to use it? Because he was going hard. So she starts to say she got it from Ruben, and she was like, he tried to date me until I found out that he was a gangster, and I don't do gangsters. So she was like, at the end of the day, it basically, wasn't nothing else to it, and that he's a very jealous guy. And so Nat talking about some, well, where is this guy, all right? And so he was like, no gangster could ever be good enough for you. Of course, trying to, be her in her head or whatever. And she all smiling. And he says, you could tell me what he looks like, and I'll go see him for you, okay? And so now, Bumpy is sitting talking with Chance, and he's telling him how the junkies is going to go crazy, and they're going to be selling this so fast, and Italians not going to know what hit them. And, who we see walking in, except for Dagon Columbo, because Bumpy was just before that asking him, do you remember your dreams? And he was like, well, I only usually dream about the war. And of course, we know that, Bumpy be having dreams about Elise and all of that. And then the dream that he woke up to, this morning. And so as they saying all of that, and he's saying he been having a lot of dreams lately. And then he was like, sometimes it's about Elise, sometimes, it's about the little one or whatever the case may be and all of that. And so at the end of the day, he's saying the Italians going to be eating out the palm of their hands. And he's like, speak of the devil, Columbo come walking in. So they like, what the hell, And he's like, oh, I'm just dropping off something over here and talking about some, oh, do you mind? So he sit down and he walking in with this big bag. And he's basically telling Bumpy like, oh, well, guys like me hate to be the one to deliver the bad news in person or whatever the case may be. And he was like, well, I'm the type of guy that likes to hear it real quick. And that is like, Chance is like, yeah, real fast. So he was like, well, if you want to participate in this next shipment, don't be. And Bumpy like laughing, saying, says who? What are you talking about? He was like, yeah, they already agreed to do the soul bar with me. The usual rate, half up front, half later. So he was like, Monsieur 98 already accepted my order, my offer. That's what Bumpy told Columbo. So he was like, yeah, I went over his head. Why he put that bag on the damn table? And he's like, take a look. And Bumpy go ahead and open the bag, child. And Monsieur 98 is in the damn bag, baby. Head chopped off in the bag. I said, child, that's what y'all brought him back for. So, of course, Bumpy is pissed as damn hell. And Columbo tells him, if you want to see any daggone dope, you are basically going to have to buy it from me. So, once again, Columbo has got the upper hand. And he was like, you got to get it on my terms. And he was like, oh, I don't know. You know what I mean? So he gets up and he walks away because he was saying, maybe I won't sell it all. So he says, enjoy your meal. Of course, Bumpy is ready to go through the damn roof after this happens, right? And he's cursing Columbo out as he walks out the door. So now, that done got messed up for Bumpy, child, right? And Marcel 98, rest in peace to him, baby. He's out of here. Now, as we move on from there, we basically, have Elise and, made me talk for a minute. They catching up while she's looking at the old outfits that she used to wear when she would wear just, her all white outfits. And she's saying how in Africa, the woman, was strong. And she met this woman that had the highest power in government. And she's basically saying how she was treated with so much respect. And Mamie was like, that's inspiring. And she was like, yeah, it even makes me think of you, of how you was running everything and how all the things that you could do. And she, of course, confides in her about the Omar situation and how she's feeling. And Mamie was like, well, all you could really do is see whether he's telling the truth or not, right? You're a good judge of character. You get that from your father. And so use your senses, basically. Now, Columbo comes back and tells Stella, like, your father said no, right? So you going to Dago in Italy, Paris, whatever. And she was like, you're lying. He was like, excuse me. She was like, you're lying. Who did you talk to? He was like, well, his Jew lawyer. She said, Goldman. He said, yeah. She was like, that's not his name. He was like, oh, well, whatever his name is. She was like, no, that's bullshit or whatever. You didn't talk to nobody. You're basically lying to me or whatever the case may be. And so he said, if something happens to you, I'm dead, all right? So he was like, no, you're not going to go nowhere, whatever. I can't do what you ask, and that's the end of that. I'm trying to do what's best for you. So she's like, you're so full of shit. Of course, we get this big blowout argument between them again, and he's like, if you want to go to Paris, that's your Paris, and he throws back the daggone necklace to her. So she was like, he telling her when a boss gives you a gift, you accept it or whatever, right? And he was like, I'm trying to be friendly here. Child, ain't nothing friendly about you, damn Columbo, all right? And so basically she's like, I don't want to be here. This place is driving me insane. I want to get out. And he was like, well, then you should have never talked to the feds in the first place. And he walks off. So I know Stella is freaking ready, wishing she would have turned his ass in when she had the chance. He told her she did it to herself and it's her fault, which she did. And he tells her to answer the phone, and she basically picks up on whoever was calling and hangs the damn phone right back up. So we'll see what the hell Stella gonna do to him now. Now, Bumpy goes back to the captain and is basically trying to still see if he can get him so that, to be able to be at these docks or whatever, or not be at the docks, and have, him get the dope and not Columbo. I'm sorry, yeah, not Columbo. And so he's like, nah, he says, I don't know about all of this or whatever, right? He's still arguing down Bumpy. He still don't really want to be a part of none of this. He looking at his certificates on the wall, telling him how he was first in class. And Bumpy's like, yeah, I'm sure. You know what I'm saying? That doesn't surprise me. And he was saying how he always had to try to prove people wrong. And he was like, now you want to expose me as a fraud. And if I don't help the Italians, they'll do the same or worse. He was like, either way is a lose-lose for me. What am I getting out of this? And he says, Bumpy telling him they can't touch you. And the captain was like, listen, that's not necessary. Basically, he put his badge down and said he won't allow them to drag him down and make him into something that he not, and no more. And Bumpy's like, you just gonna give up your damn job? And he was like, yep, I sure am, if it means that I have to deal with this. And he walks out. So now Bumpy don't even have the leverage with him that he thought he was gonna have. Now, in the meantime, Dag on freaking Nat goes and finds Ruben. Ruben, of course, is like, who the hell are you? How the hell do you even know who I am? Where did you hear from me about, from? And he's like, well, could have been a waitress or somebody. I don't know. But what I do know is where's that coke at and how can I get it? And so he basically was telling him that is $3,000. And that is like, damn, $3,000. He's like, all right, okay, cool. You know what I'm saying? Whatever. You know what I'm saying? We could go ahead and get down with it. So, first he was like, are you out of your mind? But then he was like, hey, that's the prices. You know what I'm saying? Take it or leave it. And so Nat is like, all right, cool. I'll take it. So he tells him somewhere to go ahead and meet him or whatever. And he says, meet me on Mount Morris at 10 o'clock. So then he still was like, who gave you my name? And Nat just was like, I don't know, man. It could have been the damn bartender, whoever. So he was like, all right. So I'm like saying, Nat, be careful. I don't know if this is a setup or whatever. Now, Bumpy goes to see this picture, child. Mamie gave him this commission to be able to go ahead and paint, Bumpy. And he's like, everybody knows Bumpy. Some fear you, some think of you as a savior. Bumpy's like, I'm neither one of those things. And then Mamie's like, what he is very busy. So he's like, oh yes, let me not hold y'all up no more. Let me go ahead and show y'all this. It's really not finished yet, but I want to give you an idea. I still got some background to do, and I hope that y'all like this. Baby, I knew it wasn't gonna be what they thought it was gonna be, but I was not ready, honey. He talking about, but I do think it's some of the best work I've ever did. When he took that thing down and Bumpy Face was like, I said, what the hell? This whole side was like a red background with a demon over here, red eye, crazy ass teeth. This side was regular with the blue. So I guess one was supposed to be heaven, one was supposed to be hell. And he's saying, if you don't mind, this is how I see you. I hope y'all like it. Bumpy said, are you freaking crazy? He talking about a man of many, contradictions. You're good and evil. So maybe talking about, you see my husband as evil. And so he was like, when I was a drug addict, I did things to myself that I would consider evil. We all got a little bit of good and evil in us. And he wasn't lying about that, but you should know that damn Bumpy was not going to want this. Bumpy grabbed him up and was like, how dare you? We paid money for this shit, for this insult. He's shaking the hell out of him. I thought Bumpy was going to kill him because Bumpy pulled out that blade and started chopping that damn picture up, baby. And he was like, you trying to do some stupid psychology on me when the whole time you are basically a drug addict or nothing, you know what I'm saying? You use drugs because you wanted to, and you blame it on, your weakness on new chumps like you and made me just the looking. And, he was like, you blame drugs on society and everybody else. And he done threw the damn picture across the room. He was like, look at yourself, you know what I'm saying? Basically told the guy he ain't shit. And I didn't like how Bumpy came at him either because he told him he was a talentless junkie and was definitely nothing talentless about him. However, he really should have known that Bumpy wasn't going to like that, and he still actually told me, go ahead and give him his money and let's get the hell out of here. I'm surprised he still wants to give him money. So the guy's basically like, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry or whatever. Mamie is just looking. Now, Omar meets up with damn Elise again or whatever. He's still, of course, saying his love for her, but also saying that he's really real with what he's saying about Malcolm. She makes him swear on the, Quran or whatever the case may be. And then he was saying to her, swear you don't have no feelings for me. And she's like, I can't do that, and they go ahead and go about their business after that. So I guess she planned on giving him a chance, and I still don't trust him. I think that she was right from the get-go with the way that she felt, okay? But moving on from there, we basically had, who was it? Oh, Nat meet up with the guy, right? To go ahead and get this drug. So he's getting out the car and he's telling him like, oh, okay, where's the money? Give me the money. If you got the money, I want to see the money and all that. And Nat is like, I got the money. He's like, where the daggone coke at? Like, come on, man, stop playing. I got the money right here. So he's like, whoa, 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 you know what I'm saying? Let me see the coke. And he's telling him it's in the car. So he's like, all right, then get it. So he's like, okay, yeah, I'm going to get it right now. But of course, instead of him just pulling out the damn coke, he's talking about, I got somebody I want you to meet, and basically got Marina there all beat up, got a gun to her head. Nat talking about what is she doing here? And he was like, I found out how, how you got my name. And he's like, just let her go. He was like, did you know that he's my husband or whatever, that I'm her husband? He's like, whoa, I didn't know this was your wife. It's okay, but we could still do business. So he was like, you're going to give me the $3,000 or I'm going to kill her. So he was like, come on now, you know what I'm saying? What are you doing? Like, this don't make no sense. He was like, I'm telling you, I'll put a bullet in her head if you don't give it to me in 3 seconds. So Nat go ahead and pull it out like, whoa, 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 okay, I'm giving it to you. I'm taking it out right now. Here, all right. And he go ahead and he take the money out. He's like, take the money, let her go. So he's like, you want me to let her go so you can, bump her again? He like, come on, man. So he was like, I know you pack and throw your piece on the floor, whatever. So Nat is telling him, okay, don't do nothing stupid. But then Nat took that gun out and was like, pop, 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 pop. Okay, that's the end of you. So he walks over, whatever, and he's like, are you okay? And Marina's like, yeah. She was like, yeah, come on and get up. So he digging in his pockets, and she like, what the heck are you doing? And of course, he finds the little piece of coke that he had on him. Mind you, it got blood on him from damn Nat, blood on it, I should say, from Nat shooting him up. And he talking about some goddamn, isn't this beautiful? I said, really, Nat? And then he gonna look at her and say, well, obviously you lied up to me about being a married woman, and I guess we both lied to each other. You lied to me about you having a husband, and I lied to you when I said I wasn't a gangster. But who is this man that Nat done shot up? You know, is he some kind of made man, or is he just a nobody? I'm curious to know. You know, he leave her standing there with the dead body in the car. So, child, I don't know whether she got in that car and drove off or what the heck she did. I said, Lord, Nat. So now back at the house, Bumpy over here getting drunk, as you know what I'm saying, a skunk. And she's saying how he don't want to hear nothing right now. And she says what he did to the painting was wrong. And he was like, he was insulting me. She was like, he's an artist. You know what I'm saying? It's how he sees you. And so she was like, you know what I'm saying? What gives you the right or whatever, you know? And so he was like, well, what's that supposed to mean? She was like, I think you know, at the end of the day, drug addicts want to do drugs and drug dealers want to sell drugs. Like, they're addicted to the drug and drug dealers are addicted to selling it, right? And that's facts on facts of facts. He talking about she just worried about her political work and her image, so she had pushed his damn behind down on the couch and he over here laughing or whatever the case may be. And she was like, it's not good for anything but money. You know what I'm saying? Then he gonna tell her, well, now you got your wish. I lost the doozy to Colombo and now I can't do nothing. I gotta buy from him. I'm a nobody again, okay? I'm a nobody, I'm nothing. And so she is basically, you know, that's when she had basically kneeled down in front of him and was saying to him, like, listen, when it's all said and done, drug addicts are addicted to dope, okay? And drug dealers are addicted to selling it. Made me drop the bomb on him. That's what it is, Bumpy. That is what it is, y'all. So, you know, we see Colombo and them saying, yo, ain't nothing yet and ain't no orders been put in without him. And they was like, none of his men have approached you because now they got all the daggone Zucci. So they like, that's strange. You know what I'm saying? They was like, well, if you don't want to do nothing, that's okay. And they was like, but nah, he's too smart for that. So one of the guys said, who needs damn, you know, Bumpy Johnson? The junkies will be crawling all over to get this, you know what I'm saying, themselves. And so Colombo just was looking, and then when we see the daggone guy that was the artist that was trying to, you know, sell this damn painting to Bumpy, child, he just had a whole bunch of smaller paintings of Bumpy all around. And of course, you know, he was basically, you know, OD'd on the damn floor. He done went back and used freaking heroin again and died, y'all. Oh, what an episode this was. Y'all tell me what y'all thought about this one. Put it in the comments, you know what I'm saying? What you liked, what you didn't like, all that good stuff. Anything that I left out, let's discuss it in the comments. You know what I'm saying? Make sure you like, comment, share, subscribe if you are so inclined. Give me a wave. Let me know you came by. Put some flames up in the sky. Till next time, y'all.